and sealed it inside the box. This was his last chance to explain himself to the world, his last chance to warn the human race. Chapter 1. Present Day, Tuesday, December 1st, Geneva, Switzerland. Louis Keller had been waiting for this moment for more than 30 years, ever since his dying father had explained what must be done in the distant future. For 5 generations, their family had been in charge of a mysterious trust fund at Credit Suisse, the second-largest bank in Switzerland, and now, after 3 decades of waiting, the big day was finally here. Keller would soon be free. In the beginning, he had viewed his duties with frustration, nothing more than a silly game that his father had forced him to play. But as the years went on, his viewpoint had started to change. What had once been a mild annoyance was now a burden he was forced to bear, a yoke he couldn't shake. Although he was a healthy man, he had had trouble sleeping in recent months, afraid he would pass away before he completed his final task, worried he would let down his ancestors. He realized it was a foolish thought, completely irrational, yet he knew the weight wouldn't be lifted until he had fulfilled his obligation. Then, and only then, could he sleep in peace. Wearing a dark suit and overcoat, Keller entered the bank as soon as it opened on the first morning of December. He nodded to the elderly guard who had unlocked the door, removed his fedora in the warmth of the foyer, then climbed the stairs to the main lobby. Although he had visited this building on many occasions, he was always reassured by its architecture. In his opinion, every bank should be built this way. Marble floors, stone pillars, and vaulted ceilings. Everything about the place felt solid, as a proper bank should, like a medieval fortress or a modern museum. Over the years, he had spent some time in the United States and was amazed at the inferiority of its banks. Oftentimes, they were wedged into local shopping malls or grocery stores, nothing more than plastic countertops and fake wood paneling squeezed into cheap retail space. Nothing about them seemed safe or secure, which probably explained why the wealthiest Americans deposited their fortunes in Swiss banks. For peace of mind, and to hide it from Uncle Sam. Keller smiled at the thought as he strode past the bank tellers, all of whom were locked behind sturdy iron bars, and made his way toward the safe deposit vault. It was downstairs, nestled underneath the lobby floor. To gain access to the facility, customers were required to pass through security. 10 years earlier, everything had been done with picture IDs and signature cards. Now, the system was high-tech, like something out of a Hollywood movie. As he approached the first checkpoint, Keller removed his leather gloves and tucked them into the pockets of his overcoat. Still stiff from the morning cold, he cracked his knuckles, then typed his 10-digit alphanumeric code into the computer. The hard drive whirred for several seconds before his password was accepted, and additional instructions filled the screen. Knowing the procedure by heart, Keller ignored the monitor and placed his hand on the scanner, making sure his fingers were positioned in the proper slots. Instantly, a beam of green light, which resembled the lamp inside a copy machine, moved under the surface of his hand. Starting at the tips of his fingers, it slowly made its way toward the base of his palm, analyzing the ridge structures of his skin and the nuances of his hand. In a flash, millions of computations were made, and his identity was verified. Louis Keller, age 52. A split second later, the electronic lock buzzed in front of him. Keller opened the door, glanced over his shoulder to make sure no one was behind him, then walked inside and pulled the door shut. After double-checking the lock, he turned and faced the marble staircase that led to the vault below. A uniformed guard waited for his arrival. "Bonjour, monsieur." "Bonjour," Keller said as he pulled out his passport. The guard inspected the document.